All the balance with which Howard takes the shot. She's just kind of on a fade a little bit.
So I tweeted out initially this was nothing. This is worse than I thought it was.
Watch this. Like, no, it's almost like fingertips on a key. So, I tweeted out initially this was nothing.
This is as pathetic as these four, well, I'm gonna say three of the four hooligans.
That is really bad with refs. I thought it was this one. When I said, oh, this is nothing, I thought it was this situation here.
This is worse than I thought it was. Like, this again, I'm not going to say it's intentional cause Angel just throws her arms around. But like, this is a flavor. Like, bro, the in Atlanta got something going on, bro.
So what was very interesting about those two clips is that it involved the same referee. She basically wanted a foul call and she throws a tantrum right in front of the ref. You teed up one, you should have teed up the other, right? Right? You see?
Like, let's look at it one more time. Slow motion. This is as pathetic as these four. Well, I'm going to say 3 of the 4 hooligans at halftime just blabbing about Atlanta, 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 Atlanta.
You would think that Angel Reese going against Caitlin Clark, she would try to show up at least in some sort of fashion on Angel Reese, just trolling her, looking at her in disbelief like, wow.
And that's really bad. That is really bad with refs. I thought it was this one. When I said, oh, this is nothing, I thought it was this situation here that they were looking at.
It's always happening to the same people and the same team. And in the same play. Multiple times. Like, come on, bro. Like, people trying to get away with certain stuff.
For a moment, because the real mystery may have been hiding inside the whistles. Every questionable call seemed to arrive at just the right or wrong moment. And before long, Caitlin Clark fans were connecting one decision to another.
Like, by the WNBA's own rules, she is not looking at Caitlin Clark. If it's not intentional, it's a flagrant one. This is the most obvious flagrant one I've seen. And then she's immediately going to the refs. Look at it.
Then Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream became part of the equation, making the entire situation even stranger. So, was this simply bad officiating or was something else happening behind the scenes? So, what was very interesting about those two clips is that it involved the same referee. In the first clip, Caitlin Clark had the ball and she basically wanted a foul called and she throws a tantrum right in front of the ref and the ref does nothing. Doesn't blow the whistle, doesn't even tee her up, nothing. This same referee ended up reffing a game for the Atlanta Dream and he makes a call. Angel didn't like it, she waves him off and walks away and he tees her up.
How you like me now? How you like Reese? You had me laughing at you, girl.
If you teed up one, you should have teed up the other. You see, this is the evidence that showcases that there is bias in refereeing in the WNBA, particularly when it comes to K. The game itself was already chaotic before the controversial sequence arrived. Indiana and Atlanta went into Sunday's matchup with plenty at stake and the Fever eventually escaped with a 95-91 overtime victory. Caitlin Clark finished with 26 points and 9 assists while Angel Reese had 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists for Atlanta. But if you only look at the final score, you miss the part of this game that has people talking about the officials. Because there was a moment when it looked like Indiana might lose a game that it had spent the entire night fighting to win.
Dream, this is what I mean. Though they were two different games, it involved the same. So I would not be surprised if we see some of this biased refereeing come during the game on Thursday, because it's very clear that there's some bias going on.
And that sequence was not Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, or even the Dream. It was the whistle. Like by the WNBA's own rules, she is not looking at Caitlin Clark. I am not going to say this is intentional. It doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. It's a flagrant one. If it's intentional, it's a flagrant 2. If it's not intentional, it's a flagrant 1. Like, if this is intentional, you toss it. Like, it's as simple as that. But like, this is the most obvious flagrant one I've seen. She caught her neck and then she's immediately going to refs. Look at it, go to the monitor, my neck. And the refs ignore it. Then came the late game officiating sequence. Suddenly, what had been a basketball game became a courtroom.
Caitlin Clark is clearly a better basketball player than Angel Reese.
But there's always a conversation about, y'all don't see that? About who's better out of the two ladies, Caitlin or Angel Reese. I actually started to watch some of the clips because I wanted to determine for myself. And then I was like, oh, Caitlin is obviously really a great.
Everybody watching had a different interpretation and social media immediately went into full detective mode. Some fans were convinced Indiana was getting squeezed by the officials. Others argued that the contact was legitimate and that the referees were simply doing their job. The reason this sequence became so controversial was not simply that a whistle was blown. It was that the decision appeared to create more questions than answers. Once the play went under review, viewers naturally expected the replay to settle the argument because that is supposed to be the entire purpose of having another look. Instead, the review seemed to make the situation even more difficult to understand, particularly for fans who believed there had not been enough contact to justify what followed.
ESPN may be doing angel BAs. Do y'all realize that this game today between the Dream and the Fever showed that
That is where the frustration really began. If officials are going to stop the game, examine the footage from multiple angles, and then change or confirm a call in a critical moment, the explanation should be clear enough that viewers understand exactly what happened. Instead, many people were left wondering what the referees had actually seen and, more importantly, what action they believed justified the decision. That does not automatically prove that the officials were trying to help Atlanta beat Indiana, and it would be irresponsible to present an accusation of intentional manipulation as an established fact without evidence. There is a major difference between a bad call, an inconsistent call, and a deliberate attempt to influence the result. Those distinctions matter, especially when the accusation involves professional referees and the integrity of a league. However, questioning the decision itself is completely reasonable. Fans can ask why one type of contact receives a whistle while another does not.
Howard or Alicia Gray, I think Ryan Howard, airballs a shot to win the game late. And collectively, the whole world said, yeah, she ain't making that. Freaking that. And lo and behold, point blank range to
That
win.
changed everything. The Fever suddenly had another 5 minutes to recover, regroup, and finish what they had started. And that is exactly what they did. After everything that had happened during regulation, Indiana still had to execute when the pressure was at its highest, and the Fever ultimately walked away with a 95-91 victory. That is important because no referee can actually put the ball through the basket for a team. However, one possession can become the possession everyone remembers. The WNBA should be able to determine whether the original call was correct, whether the review was conducted properly, whether the correct rule was applied, whether the resulting free throws were appropriate, and whether the officials handled the situation according to the league's established standards.
She missed like 7 layups in the first quarter. Meanwhile, me,
every
the
single
GOAT,
night.
26 points, 9 assists. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.
If the league wants fans to
go
trust
on
its
to
officials,
win.
it cannot
Am I
expect
looking
people
like
to
the
simply accept every
MVP or
controversial
what?
decision
If the
without
league
explanation. When a replay is used to determine a crucial ruling, viewers naturally want to know what changed, what the officials saw, and why the final decision was considered correct. Otherwise, the replay can have the exact opposite effect of what it was designed to accomplish. Instead of removing doubt, it creates more of it. Instead of ending the argument, it gives the argument another 10,000 comments. And instead of making the officials appear more authoritative, it can leave fans wondering whether they are looking at the same footage. That becomes especially significant when Caitlin Clark is involved, because the level of attention surrounding her has completely changed the environment in which these games are played.
Caitlin's laughing at her. This is my favorite WNBA picture of the season. It's Caitlin.
But the league can make the standard clear enough that even people who disagree with a decision can understand why it was made. The WNBA has spent years building its audience, growing its stars, expanding its reach, and turning individual players into household names. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are major parts of that growth, and their rivalry has helped create enormous interest in women's basketball. But with that attention comes responsibility. The bigger the audience becomes, the more closely everything will be examined. The more important the games become, the more important officiating consistency becomes.